All right. So now a game with the world
Yeah,
champion.
with Karpov. Well, this one, of course, was different. The Soviet team was very strong. Everybody played, Karpov, Kasparov, and so on. They had a fantastic team. And my game against Karpov was most instructive, like, as always. All our games were by this level and very interesting, every time.
Karpov was at the first table.
I see. No, it was like this. In that moment, we played against the Soviets. Shuba played the first board for us because our captain considered that it was the best way to do it. He played against Kasparov and he played very well, and he didn't lose against Kasparov. That was very good. No? And I played with Karpov, which also was a surprise because everybody wanted Karpov to be on the first board. So they made also a small change
Changes.
like this. But anyway, they could have any grandmaster on the first board. It was the same. So, I mean, they had such a fantastic team that they could win
No
any time.
difference.
Yeah, made no difference. The big surprise was it was the fact that they accepted to play both in the same team because of the relationship between
The
Kasparov and
conflict.
Karpov and so on. Nobody expected them to play together, but they played together. Everything went very smoothly. Like they were good friends. Like this, you'll see during the game. We explain the
Yeah.
small moment and.
Okay.
So okay, we had this our small talk about the opening here, d5. He didn't play normally the Queen's Indian. He played this time Queen's Gambit, a d5. If instead of d5 he played b6 or Bishop b4 check, it was Queen's Indian. With d5 is Queen's Indian. So okay, knight c3, and now the small surprise. Normally d takes c4 was considered a little bit risky and a little bit better for white. But in reality, Karpov played a lot of games like this. It was his specialty. And the game was always very complicated and had very good results with black. The normal move here is always e4. After e4, it is very complicated. Nobody knows who is better. After e4, bishop b4, and so on. Very, very complicated. So I avoided all this and I played the normal move e3. After e3, the game is more quiet and very good for white, without any trouble. So, okay, e3, a6, a4, c5. And we came back to a normal position from the accepted Queen's Gambit. This is very well known, this position. Okay. So now bishop takes c4, knight c6, castle, pardon, he took in d4, I took with e, bishop e7. Well known, everything is well known. Yeah? And now the small surprise. Here white can play queen d3, rook e1, bishop g5, bishop f4, all kind of moves, very complicated position in, every time, like this. But I played the simplest way, which is, against Karpov is very good, against this very strong Soviet player is very good move, because it's more simple and it avoids all kind of very complicated game, It was exactly what we needed there at the Dubai Olympics. So after d5, everything again is more or less forced. So he has to take. I took with the knight. He took there. I took with the bishop. And he castled. And here, if white wants something, white has to play like I played in our game. It seems that white has a small edge. I took in c6. The alternative was bishop f4. After bishop f4, again, very complicated, a little bit better for white, but nothing very clear. So, okay, now I took in d8, he took back with the rook, and knight e5. Now, if he plays here c5 or bishop b7, after bishop e3, white is a little bit better in all kind of positions. c5 is also a mistake. c5, knight c6 is clearly better for white. Almost winning for white. So, okay, he played the best move, bishop d7. So after bishop d7, if he has time to put the bishop in e8, he can continue with two bishops, which is always good to have the two bishops, you know.
Yeah.
So if you want to avoid this, you have to take in d7. I took in d7, he took back, and now bishop e3. We have this position, you know, more or less an endgame position, which is
Yeah.
completely even. Black equalized, you know, he played very well and equalized. But it seems that nobody has something here. White has very little, black has very little. Normally at this level, the game is more or less draw, you know.
Yeah.
But we continue to play, you know. Everybody thought that he was better. I was thinking that white is a little bit better. Karpov thought that black is a little bit better. And okay, he tries a little bit, you know, how to realize his small advantages. I mean, his small advantage. He thought that he's a little bit better, you know. Okay, again, everything is forced. And we have is completely symmetrical if you look at the position now. The only difference is here that black has black bishop, and the pawn on black is easier to protect
With the bishop.
And in his opinion, that was the small advantage, you know. So later on, white has to trade the black bishop to have a rook endgame. But rook endgame, I mean, two rooks each, is always very complicated. And against Karpov is a little bit, you know, maybe
Risky.
a little bit risky because he has such a big, you know, experience in that kind of position. He played at this highest level, you know, world championship and so on. So you have to be careful. I mean, you have to play very well. We'll see what happens during the game. So g3, white plays quietly, h6, everything is clear. And now bishop d4. Okay, after bishop d4, he played rook d2. I played bishop back, and he played rook d3. He changed the position from his rook, not back to b2, but in d3. Okay, now the rook is on white. White plays also the rook a2, also on white square, you know. So what to do? Hey, bishop b4. It seems that he took a little bit of space here, now with bishop b4.
Yeah.
Okay, bishop b4, rook c2. We continue our, you know, fight, but without any, you know, advance for anybody here. I mean, black is waiting and trying to get some small advantage. White is defending the position very quietly, and more or less the position continues to be even, you know. Okay, so bishop c5. I told you that white tries to trade immediately the bishop, see? Okay, so bishop c3, rook a3. So he gave check, of course, king g2. He moved the bishop, and now rook b3. I mean, if he gives a little bit too much time, white had time to come with the rook in b5, and then was not clear who is better, you know. So now after rook a1, you have to play rook a3. Of course, if he takes, it's nothing, you know, for black. So he continues with rook b1. I played rook a2. He played rook bishop c1. And now again, we moved to e2, rook d5, and okay, here bishop e3. Now it's clear, white can trade the bishop. And we have the rook endgame, you see? Rook endgame, a little bit of time trouble for both, I mean, for him and for me. But the game is, you know, again, more or less even. Okay, he took in e3, I took in e3, and now he continues to play to see if probably I had enough experience in this kind of endgame. I mean, to try to resist. I mean, try to resist. Black has nothing, but you have to be careful and play well. You see?
Some pressure.
Yeah. So I check there, and now rook e7, of course. Rook f5, and now a very good move, h4. We have to trade another pawn. He has to play b5, g5, of course, because otherwise white is a little bit too active, you know.
But here wasn't better for black to play f6, for example?
Well, f6 is a small weakness, you know. I mean, white has, white wants him to play f6, because then you can move the other rook to c2, even giving the pawn from a4, but you have time to double the rook on the 7th, you know, and then it's difficult for black. the position is more or less better for white then, you see.
If you double the rooks,
If you double the rook on
at
the
least
7,
draw.
it's always very difficult, So he has to avoid also, he has to be very careful, not to play very quickly. No, rook f5 is excellent move, of course. So h4, and now g5. Okay, he wants a little bit more space, you see. So I took there, I played rook a7, and okay, he fixed the position. It seems that black is a little bit better here already, in time trouble, But if you play well, you can demonstrate that in reality black has nothing. We'll see the continuation of the game. Okay, king f1 is very good because now you come with the king in the center through f1, e2, d3, and you can have a very active position for your king. But I told you, against Karpov or against Kasparov, this is this kind of position where you can never be sure. Yeah. So king g6, rook e7, king f6, rook e3. Okay, you see, again, everything is very well protected, everywhere. So now the king can come again very quickly, on the central position. Okay, rook f3. Now, of course, if you had to take in f3, it was clearly better for black because then the king was bad, the white king. So, okay, rook e8.
But
okay, white could play, of course, king e2 after king e2.
Yes.
But then the endgame is a little bit better for black because he has time to come with the king in the center. He could take in e3, king take e3, and then king e5.
So you
king
wanted
e5,
to keep
and he's more active. It's a little bit unpleasant for white. But now rook e8 is very good. Now he continues to play, a little bit after rook c3, and now you have to find the good position for your pieces. After queen c4, rook c4, it seems that he had time to attack twice in a4, but now comes quietly rook a8. Now, if he takes in a4, you have time to take rook a8 takes a5, completely draw, completely even.
Yes. So if
So
he
nothing
takes,
to
you
do.
take.
If he takes now in a4, you take in a5, complete even. No
Correct.
problem. So he continues to give check, and now king d3. If he gave check, nothing. Even. So rook e5. So rook e5, rook c8. You have to protect your king, to have time to go somewhere with your king, but always in the center, d3, e3, or c3. You have 3 squares for your king, and it's enough to have a good position. So king c3. Okay. So now what to do? Rook f5, because here, if he didn't play rook f5, the threat was rook c4, and white is better already. If white had time to play rook c4, it was a little bit better because the king was near of this pawn from a5. And the endgame is suddenly better for white, you see. So it has to be careful also with black, So, okay, rook f5, rook c4 again, very good. Now, if he gives check there, we have time to play king d4, you see. Okay, king d4 and rook b3. The last hope. Now, if you take first in b4 and play king c5, again, he has time to come with the king through f5 or through e5. And maybe he had an idea to come until f3. If he arrives in f3, you are in danger to lose the game, because the king is very active in f3. So, again, you have to be careful. But now, after rook c2, again, everything is clear. Why? Because now if he takes in c4, you take with the rook. And then you want to come very quickly with the kings in c5, you attacking, immediately the pawn from a5 and attacking the pawn from g4. And again, it's better for white, you see here. So what to do? He has to move the king, of course. After king c5, again, everything is clear. f6. It seems that he won a tempo with black. No? Okay. So we move back with the king. Again, you give him the move. Okay, he took there. I took with the rook. He played king g6 there. And now he played rook f3. I mean, he wants to have such an endgame where he doesn't take any risks, but because the king is a little bit far, maybe he has a slight edge on the other side, giving the a pawn for the f pawn, and he has 2 against 1, and the king very near,
Mhm.
So therefore, you have until the last moment to play precisely with white, you see. So now rook c2 doesn't give any chance, So what to do? Rook a3, rook c4, of course. Now, if he continued with rook a2, you had time to play king e3. Again, no problem, you see. f5, okay, after f5, king c5. Again, very strong move. King c5 protects everything, you see. So
Yeah.
after rook b3, king d5, and he played rook b2, and now I played rook f4. Okay. Well, he tried everything here and there, a little bit more, and so on. And now the last hope to show you that you have to move and you have to. And now after king f6, I played king d6, and the game was draw. Of course, he proposed draw here, and I accepted, and the game was draw. But in meantime, it was very funny. I told you before.
Yes, you told
Well,
me. Yeah.
a few moves before that,
Yeah.
in such a complicated position, I heard a noise. Karpov was, speaking with Kasparov about our game.
During the game.
I was thinking, and they were, talking about our position. King there, rook there, and so on. Well, it was clear that it was
You
against the
you
rules. Yeah, it was against the
you
rules.
understand Russian because
Yeah, yeah, I speak very well Russian also, And the problem was that you can't do something like this during such a game, decisive game, and being the world champion, the ex-world champion, right? Two world champions play, talking together about the game. I
a
mean,
small analysis.
it's no problem. It's not possible to do something like this, So instead of talking to the chief referee, which was the normal way to do it, I came to speak with Kasparov and Karpov, and said, "What happens here? It's not possible to talk about our game." And Kasparov told me that it was a very interesting position. So
Let's
it
talk.
was it was interesting until the end. So I said, "Well, if it's such interesting position, maybe if we could talk between us three, instead of talking
Yeah.
only you against." With
Yeah.
Karpov against our team again, about our game.
Yeah.
And okay,
But maybe
everybody
after the
left.
game.
Yeah,
After the game.
everybody left, and so and he proposed draw
Yeah.
Karpov, and
But
okay, I
you said
accepted.
something that Karpov said, I don't need advice
Well,
from.
he doesn't. Jokingly like this, he said, "Well, you don't think that I need advice from Kasparov to play later on for a win or for a draw in such a position." I said, "You can play together with Kasparov. The game is still draw. You can't win this. We can play 100 moves and it's still draw. No problem at all." But it was against the rules. You can't be Kasparov and Karpov and do such a thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, it happened. It was very funny, but okay. Finally, everybody was in very good mood, and so on. We had a very good relationship with Kasparov and Karpov. But anyway, it was not nice. It was not correct to do such a thing.
Correct. Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
I took it finally as a joke, but it was a serious joke. Let's say it was a serious joke, and okay, yeah. And we had the
Interesting
result. And the game was draw after a very big fight. Okay, the game was very fighting one, and a very interesting one. Okay, to see how you can keep always the balance at the highest level against a very very strong opponent. So this is
Exactly.
this is the most important thing to understand in this game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
You all.